Reverend Bosworth Mullins, the Michael University College Chaplain, Mr. Alvin Lawson, Acting Vice President of Administration, Dr. Ruthlyn McLarty, Michael University College Guidance Counselor, specially invited guests, colleagues, friends, sponsors, students, persons online, welcome. Welcome and good afternoon. We envision a world in which mental health is valued, promoted, and protected, where everyone has an equal opportunity to enjoy mental health and to exercise their human rights, and where everyone can access the mental health care they need. This is what we envision as we pause to recognize as a community Mental Health Awareness Day right here at the Michael University College. We are going to begin the afternoon's proceeding, and part of our mental health is recognizing and having that presence and that space where God is center or central in our lives. And we ask at this time that Reverend Bosworth Mullins join us to do the opening prayer. Reverend Mullins.
Thank you so much. You know, I can't just come up here and just pray. I have to say something else, right? And since we are here acknowledging the sovereignty of God over creation and over our lives, the architect of our health, our wholeness, I would like to share with us briefly something from the scriptures, and probably we would like to read it on our own again. We know the story of how Jesus healed the demoniac man who was mentally deranged and had legions of demons in him, and how Jesus healed him, and how he sent the demons into a herd of swine. They went headlong into the sea and was drowned. We also remember that after the persons in the town came and saw what had happened, they became afraid and they asked Jesus to leave. Now, I want to share with us a couple of verses from Luke chapter 8, verses 35 to 37. Then people came out to see what had happened. And when they came to Jesus, they found the man from whom the demons had gone sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. Those who had seen it told them how the one who had been possessed by demons had been healed. Then all the people of the surrounding country of the Gerasenes asked Jesus to leave them, for they were seized with great fear. So he got into the boat and returned. Mental illness carries stigma. But if the truth be told, all of us have some sort of mental illness in us. I'm not excluding myself. Have you ever thought about the person who is homeless? How did he get to that state? Sometimes we just look at them as a number, as a name, homeless. In the story that I referred to, that man was homeless. He lived in the tombs. And mental illness is not only something medical, but it's something spiritual. Therefore, I take the time here that when we recognize that the scripture says that when they came and found the man sitting at Jesus' feet, which represent that this man was listening to Jesus and was being taught by Jesus and being counseled by Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. A miracle took place. Whether someone is healed by spiritual miracle or by medical means, involved in that healing is always counseling. Involved in that healing is always counseling. And counseling helps persons to reorder their lives in a way that they are affirmed and that they are in their right mind, making their own decisions. So when we gather like this, I'm here to tell you that one of the most in-demand vocations today is that of a counselor. That of a counselor. And I take this opportunity to say to us that the mind is fertile like the earth. If you intentionally cultivate it and tend to it, you can have a beautiful garden. Leave it to itself, and you have weeds. Mental health is like that. And I thank God for us. Thank God for Dr. Ruthlyn McLarty. Thank God for the Department of Behavioral Sciences, because God is using them in areas that we probably do not yet realize the importance of. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you, we praise you, we adore you, we worship you. You alone are God. You have created us with fertile minds. You have created us and taught us values. And Lord, we look around us and we see how persons, even those who are learned, are harboring actions, principles, which are harmful to our minds, to our relationships, to our society. We only have to look and listen to the pronouncement of the Jamaica Broadcasting Association. And look at the responses, oh God, knowing that if we embrace evil, we can become mad. Our mental illness can be affected. Help us, Lord, to embrace those values that will promote good health, good mental health, relationships that will be born out of love. We ask you, Lord, to take charge of all the presentations during this week. And may your name be glorified, and may we all be made healthy, mentally and otherwise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Mullins. Mental Health Awareness Day, the international theme, making mental health a global priority, and our theme at the Michael, working smarter, living healthier. As I listened to Reverend Mullins speak about homeless persons, I remember being a part of a group that we work with the homeless downtown for a while. And when we would go there to help, with the feeding and all of that, I'd use the opportunity, I guess it's the lecturer and the researcher and me, just to ascertain why are you in this, position. And I remember listening to a gentleman speak one day, but is what we'd call, his British accent. I decided to sit and have a chat with him. And as I listened, I said, wow, all of us, irrespective of the situation we're in, we sometimes may just be one situation, one conversation, one ordeal away from having a mental breakdown. And so we thank God, that we are still clothed in our right mind. Prince Harry said, the experience that I've had is once you start talking about experiencing a mental struggle, you realize that actually you are part of quite a big club. Mental health is real, and it is right around us. At this time, we invite to bring his welcome, Mr. Alvin Lawson, the Vice President of Administration. Welcome, Mr. Lawson.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Nelson. Good afternoon, everyone. Mental Health Day is celebrated each year in October. Now more than ever, the globe has come to that understanding of the importance for the need for a strong and resilient support system for those of us who live and interact here. Over the past 2 or 3 years, our world has had experiences that we can consider as rough, mentally rocking us. Experiences that we've never seen before. For some, the struggle has been more difficult than for others. Research has shown that 1 in 6 persons experience mental issues such as depression, anxiety. These issues weigh heavily on individuals, or friends, or families, or colleagues. And as such, those of us who might not be experiencing too great a mental issue, we're expected to give the encouragement and the support. Reaching out to those of our brothers and sisters who are struggling with mental health or going through hard times. Sometimes it can feel awkward, but the effort to reach out, to give the support, it's okay, it's necessary. The Michael University College Guidance and Counseling Department in conjunction with the Behavioral Sciences Department, have chosen to host this Mental Awareness Day. In my estimation, it is a good gesture and a team for having decided that you'll be hosting this day. For all the organizations that have partnered with administration led by our President, Dr. Asban Pinnock, I want to take this opportunity in thanking you for joining us to emphasize the importance of ensuring that there is support for those who have the challenge to deal with mental issues. Welcome, one and all, to the Michael University College.
We can put our hands together, man. Yes. We can definitely clap. It's part of feeling good. It's part of embracing the fact that at some point we may struggle, but there is hope. There is hope, even when your brain tells you there isn't. I'll repeat that. There is hope, even when your brain tells you there isn't. And that's a quote coming from John Green. At this time, we invite our University College Counselor, Dr. Ruthlyn McLarty, to bring her greetings. As I said, you can clap, man. Let's put our hands together for Doc.
Thank you, Mrs. Nelson. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Michael University Mental Health Awareness Day. The importance of mental health cannot be underscored. Psychosocial well-being is a necessary condition for any human being to realize their full potential and to live a fulfilling, healthy, and productive life. It involves helping individuals cope with and overcome difficulties and life situations. The emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic has heightened conditions of stress, anxiety, depression, suicide ideation, and attempts, and a plethora of medical complications and premature deaths. It has additionally presented a deep sense of hopelessness and helplessness in making it difficult for a vast majority of individuals to escape even a minor mental health experience. This surge of mental health problems makes World Mental Health Week, October 10 to 14, 2022, a welcome event. Mental Health Day, first observed on October 10, 1992, as an annual activity of the World Federation for Mental Health, provides a dedicated time for mental health advocates across the world to bring awareness of mental health issues in one unified voice. This year, the international theme is Making Mental Health and Wellness a Global Priority. There are so many persons who are without equal opportunities in receiving help as they grapple with the scourge of mental health issues. For this reason, the Guidance and Counseling Unit of the Michael University College believes that it is very important to promote self-awareness, prevention, and personal responsibility. Thus, the focus of the unit on working smarter, living healthier. To mark this World Mental Health Week, the Guidance and Counseling Unit has had several activities. On Tuesday, October 11, we released the volume 1, issue 2 of the MycoMeds newsletter. On Wednesday, October 12, we had another of our food for thought, Building Resilience, Bent but Not Broken. And today, we have been having a mini wellness fair and our mental health presentations. Thank you for joining us face-to-face and online as we seek to create awareness and promote good mental health and holistic well-being. Thank you.
Let's put our hands together also for the work that the Guidance and Counseling Department is putting. I read those newsletters and just the timely reminders and the support that they have been giving to us as a community. As I listened to Dr. McLarty and Mr. Lawson, and they spoke about the pandemic, and sometimes I said, boy, the pandemic did us in. You know, for the first time, I started hearing conversations about mental health. And even yesterday, I listened to David and Tamela Mann, very popular, I would call them Hollywood celebrities. And David Mann was talking about his struggle with mental health and the fact that he was ashamed as a black man to speak about, you know, being down, just being depressed. You know, sometimes when we think about how hard life is, you know, we think that we can't cope, we can't find the funds to look after our children and all of that. And it's something that we grapple with as human beings, but then we have to find that space to make ourselves happy. We have to reach out to others, and we have to find other coping mechanism. And, you know, again, I want to put your hands together for the Guidance and Counseling Department, because I think as a unit, they are giving very big support to us here at the MICO. You are not alone. You are seen. I am with you. You are not alone. And sometimes we feel alone. But this reminder coming from Rhonda Sims is saying that you're not alone. There is a friend, there is a counselor, there's someone that you can call on to get the support you need. And we want to thank our sponsors for those partnering with us today. Tip Friendly, Jamaica Red Cross, and JN. Thank you for coming on board. And before you leave, you need to visit these booths. We are very thankful that they have come on board to work along and to give the MICO and the Guidance and Counseling Department the support that we need. We have our first presenters coming up, and they are from the JN Group, Mr. Dimitri Simpson and Miss Roxanne Daly, and they're going to be talking to us about financial management. Now, while they make their way to the platform, I had a little conversation, and if you know me, I always have a story. And so as I stopped by this morning to have a little chat with somebody, a senior, she said to me, boy, Mrs. Nelson, if it wasn't for my children, I don't know how I'd be coping. Now, what struck me about this conversation is that both herself and her husband, they worked for a number of years, and they didn't waste their money. But in these very harsh economic times, they are struggling. And I can tell you, and if we're real, Doc, if we're real, we know that, let us put it plainly, when you're broke, you're stressed. Not true. And me alone or everybody else. You have to just jump into the Jamaican vernacular a little bit. But when you're broke, it stresses you. And so these two lovely person, lady and gentle, man, they are going to be sharing with us how to make good financial decisions to take the stress off our brain and to make it a little better. Let's put our hands together for them.
Good afternoon, everyone. Members of the panel, the audience, and members of the partnering entities that are present today. Good afternoon once again. First, I'd just like to congratulate the MICO University, and by extension, Dr. McLarty, for this very timely event. I speak from experience, having a family member who has suffered with mental illness. And I'll also like to just reiterate what Reverend Mullins has said about, this being something that affects just about everyone. It's just that we don't take notice of some of it, because some of it is not above the line. Some of it is maybe seen as even normal, like some level of slight depression. That's mental illness. And today, we will be trying to alleviate some of that stress by speaking about what it is that Jane has to offer, in terms of the need for financial planning. So, let's get into it. First of all, just a bit of fun. I want to give away something today, right? It would not be JN's style to come up here and not give somebody a chance to win something. And I know Dr. McLarty, being somebody who knows me very well, would hold me accountable. So, let's get that going. I'm going to ask a question, and we will see who can be the lucky winner. We have some things at our tent, and I want to give away 3 of them. I'm going to ask 2 questions at the beginning and 1 at the end. And so 3 persons will be able to partake in what it is that we have to offer today. All right, so the first question: when did JN become a bank? Anybody? We have Google, man. What's happening? We have Google, everybody looking at everybody. We have Google. When did JN become a bank? Can anybody tell me? I'm waiting. I see some people fiddling around with the phones. So, all right, who is that? All right, so that's correct. 2017. I see the person, but I'm going to take the name. What's your name, ma'am? Marie. Kareem. So my colleague here is making note, and you can come and speak with us at the tent when we are finished here, and we'll see what we can get for you out of the goodie bag. All right, second question now. Give me a product that we offer at JN Bank. That's an easy question. I should... Lady in blue at the front. Yes, we do offer remittance services. So, yes, that is actually one of the things that we have. All right, I'm not going to go with the final question until I am wrapping up. So I'm going to get into the presentation. All right, so good afternoon once again, and thank you for inviting me to your prestigious university. I must say I am impressed. This is my first visit to your campus, and I am just taken away by the nostalgic buildings on display. Kudos to the Michael University. This is something that is not often seen in Jamaica in terms of how we take care of our heritage, and you really should be applauded for that. All right? Yes, give yourself a round of applause for that. As was said, I'm Dimitri Simpson. I'm a branch sales representative at the New Kingston branch, and with me is my colleague, Roxanne Daly, and she's one of our engagement specialists. And we will be trying to give you some ideas how to balance your life with financial planning, right? Now, this is nothing that should be taken simple, because from the day you are conceived, some sort of financial impact is happening there in the lives of those around you and even the baby in the womb. And some planning is necessary. So, first of all, what is financial planning? Right? Well, simply put, financial planning is basically looking at the resources that you have at your disposal. And when we speak of resources, we're talking about financial resources, assets, monies, things that can be converted to money. What are these things that we have at our disposal? What are our needs? What are our wants? And how can we align these things properly so that we can literally achieve what it is that we want to achieve? Now, the first obvious step is a budget, right? And we talk about budgeting all the time. We hear this term being thrown around. I'm sure this is not the first time. A budget is simply a financial tool. It's a financial plan. So in aligning your resources to the plans that you have or the goals and objectives that you have to achieve ahead of you, you need a roadmap. The budget is the roadmap, and it shows you the way and how to achieve this, right? Now, in doing your budgeting, one of the places that most of us fall down is being disciplined. Discipline is key. You have to be able to set these goals and stick to them, work towards them, so that at the end of the day, you can achieve what it is that you had set out to do. There is a golden rule which suggests that your salary should be split 30, 50, 20. That ratio. Now remember that 30, 50, 20. 30% should be for your discretionary spending, your needs. 50%, sorry, not your needs, but your wants. My apologies. 50% should be for your needs. These are things that you need every day for living. Your water bill, your light bill, food. All these budgetary things that you cannot do without. And 20% is recommended for saving. Now, saving must be an integral part of what it is that you're doing, if it is that you're going to be able to, later on in life, be somewhat comfortable and able to afford more things. Another part of it is investment. In that discretionary spending and even the savings, when it is that you're investing, think about moving yourself forward. Now, the students here at Michael have invested in themselves. They are thinking about advancing their careers, advancing their education, so that later in life they'll be able to apply for a better job, or apply for a job, I should have said, and be able to earn a living and aspire to be a professional later on in life. Investing in yourself is always a good idea. Sometimes you don't, and investing on just by the term itself, it's not an immediate impact. And that's where people sometimes get deterred. But stay the course. If it's a 5 years program, it's a 3-year program, invest, get it done, and invest again, right? Now, where savings is concerned again, it is also important that you look at options that force you or restrict you from accessing these funds. Because, again, we come back to the discipline factor again, right? Because how often have we started a savings plan with the objective that, this is for 5 years, and I'm not going to touch it, but we find ourselves breaking that plan, losing out on the opportunity, diverting from the path that we originally set. We have all been there, even this JN man standing in front of you. But I'm here to tell you that I've learned that when you strategize how you save, it makes a difference. Ensure that you have a salary deduction going to a savings account so that you don't have to take out that money. Because when you have to take out that money, somebody else will find use for that money before you get a chance to put it in that account. So therefore, don't let it come into your hand. Send it to JN, of course, and let it go to the partner plan, the direct gain, one of our many fixed deposit instruments that we can offer you, so that it will benefit you in the long run. In setting your goals, be sure to be smart. What I mean by that, everybody knows that, right? You're at a university, right? So we are talking about being smart, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And this speaks to the point of even mental illness again. Oftentimes, we overextend ourselves. We are aiming for things that are beyond our reach. We are looking at what other persons are doing and wondering, oh, Mr. So-and-so drive a Benz and he and I are the same age. I want a Benz too. But your journey towards that Benz might be a different road that might take a bit longer. We as individuals must understand what it is that we are able to do and learn to basically be contented. I'm not speaking about not having ambition. Don't get me wrong, ambition is good. But don't overextend it. Don't think about the Jones, especially living like the Joneses, especially in today's society where social media is so prevalent and everybody is looking on what imaginary lives, because a lot of it is not real, imaginary lives, persons are showcasing on social media and they say, oh, that's what I want for myself. I want to be able to drive that BMW now. I want this house in this particular area now. I was having a conversation with a young lady the other day, and she was expressing to me that she did not have any disposable income. And I was saying, but you know, I know you're at a reasonable position in a job and you're stable and so on. I said, I don't understand why it is that. So she started to explain, a young lady, and she explained to me that she had to live in Cherry Gardens. And I said, you have to pay rent in Cherry Gardens? I said, so what happened to the rest of Jamaica? There are other places. There are other places. And she said, no, that's where. So she explained to me that that's where the money goes. I said, okay, I see your problem. I said, I see the problem right there. So that's not being smart. That's not being realistic. And that's not achievable. It's not sustainable. What I want for you here today to get away from this presentation is ensure that the roadmap that you are preparing for yourself is one that is, at the end of the day, one that you can walk and achieve. Or it will deter you from continuing with the path in the first place, right? Be sure to reward yourself. You deserve it. You work hard. Every day you come to Michael for the lecturers, they teach, the students have assignments. Reward yourself, but do so with the mindset that you're balancing, you have a goal. So that comes back to your discretionary spending. You need to think about, okay, what can I comfortably touch from my savings without putting me on the red side of where I want to be, on the wrong side of the balancing sheet, right? So there's nothing wrong with rewarding yourself. And again, speaking to mental illness, that is a necessity. It is important to relax. It is important to enjoy life, regardless of all that is happening around you. There is a philosophy that speaks to just recognizing what it is that you have control over and what it is that you don't have control over. It's called stoicism. Stoicism, yes. So basically what that philosophy says is that understand that there are certain things that no matter what you do, it will not change. You need to understand that. Take that understanding upon yourself and focus on what you have control over. Do not stress and overextend yourself to the point that you will find yourself in a situation where you're depressed, impacted again by mental illness, right? Most importantly, have faith. My favorite scripture, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. No matter what I face, that's me. And sometimes, just like everybody else, I have my down days. But once I am faced with that wall, I'm either going over it, around it, under it, or through it. Because I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Right? And to close, I'm going to wrap up, segue and allow my colleague to speak about some of our products. But that's where she comes in, Roxanne. Get advice from the experts who can literally sit down with you, look at your situation, and help you pen out the best path forward for your situation. Thank you. Roxanne? Oh, giveaway. Yes, I have one more giveaway. So here's the question. Let's see who's paying attention. What is the rule of thumb for the budget? All right. Great. You can come and visit us at the tent, and we will have something for you. Your friend behind you almost first here, you know. But you know what? Come to the tent, and we're going to see what we can do for you too as well. Thank you for trying, guys. Thanks. Roxanne.
Wow, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Dimitri. That was such a lovely speech. I feel so nervous coming up after what he just said, because what he says is really important and it really does impact your everyday life. And what we strive to do at Jane is we try to be that financial arm that you can lean on for your everyday life. And as he said, when speaking and seeking financial advice, it is very good to speak to the professionals, because we have your best interest at heart, and whatever advice is given tends not to be biased. Well, it isn't biased, actually. And when speaking about JN, we offer a wide range of products to persons from as little as 2 to as old as 99. Now, I noticed my crowd is some of my more mature crowd, I want to say. So I know everyone in my crowd is supposed to be familiar with the school savers account. Everyone know that account, right? When the Jane person would come to school and you would sign up to get your account and you would save. Well, Jane still offer that program to schools. We still try to encourage young people to save from a tender age, as young as primary. And what we do is we make it easy for them to open an account with just their birth certificate. And it's even opened at a balance of $200. So what we try to do, we try to push young people to save. And that's the department that I am in. I'm in the youth banking department, where I actually focus on helping young people with their financial goal. And I know Dimitri spoke about having discipline. And we don't tend to always have that discipline, because, you know, we're walking across the store, we see a little shoes we like, and we know we're not supposed to buy it, you know, because it's not in the budget. But what we do, we go ahead and buy it and say, well, it will find itself, right? So those are little habits that we have that we not readily see right now, but it is something that we can curb, something to help us. And I know I always speak to persons, and the first thing I always advise persons, when persons come and say, oh, I can get a loan, I say, why would you want a loan? Why would you not want to save? Isn't saving more important? And you can ask anyone that speaks to me. I try to always say, hey, we have a lot of savings accounts. We have accounts that help you to be disciplined, that when you open that account, you open it knowing that, okay, I am saving towards that particular goal. A popular one that I tend to introduce to persons would be their partner plan account. And if you know how a partner plan works, then you already know how this account works. It just comes with a way more benefits. For example, when you have a regular partner plan, you know, you have to pay the banker, you have to catch this at time, you have to pray that nobody drop out, you have to pray the banker don't go foreign with the money. No. The banker is located at 2 to 4 Canton Spring Road, and we don't intend on moving anytime soon. And this account starts at a minimum of 1,000 Jamaican dollars. And with this account, and I love telling persons about it, it's an account that you set. And when I say you set, it's an account that you customize to your liking. If you're a person that gets paid bi-weekly, this account has that option where you can pay your money bi-weekly. If it is that you get paid monthly, this account has that option. And if you get paid weekly, this account still has that option. And the tenures are as short and as long to make sure that when you do pay your money, you're getting back something, and you even get an added interest if it is that you stick to it. And I would recommend that account if I didn't have it myself, and let me tell you, it's an account to have, especially if you want to be disciplined and save towards that added goal. And that's not the only account we have that focuses on discipline. We also have an account called a high yield account, which is similar to the partner plan, but a little bit longer. And that one starts at a minimum of $5,000. And if it is you feel, okay, well, I have a little lump sum here, but I'm not looking to put money every month or put money every week. I would just like to put it down and it grows. We do have an account for that, and that's called the direct gain account, where you can have interest up to 2%, depending on how much you put into that account. And what that account does, it allows your money to grow. And you don't have to worry about your nest egg. Your nest egg is safe and secure with us. And I know when I say that, I can say that very strong and firmly, because sometimes persons have that fear of putting their money into the bank and not being able to readily get it, not being able to readily access it. Well, no. These accounts, even though it trains you to be disciplined, when it is that the time comes for you to collect it, you don't have a problem in receiving it at all. A popular account, before I say a popular account, I want to say this. Someone came to the booth and they said, I was interested in a loan, but I don't have a Jane account. I always tell them no. If it is that you're interested in seeking help with a loan, or if it is that you're interested in receiving a mortgage, you don't need a Jane account to come and speak to us, because once you come and speak to us, we are here to help you. Dimitri and myself, we are JN persons, and we always tell persons, when you join JN, you don't join as a customer, you join as a member, you join as a part of owning the bank. And because this is the bank that you own, we are here to help you. And whatever it is that you need, we're here to assist you. And if it is that you have any interest in finding out more about how you can receive any one of these saving plans, we're at the booth at the back, and we're ready to help. So if you have any questions for me, I'm here and ready to answer at any time. Thank you so much.
Boy, them unclap the sound, thank you. Come on, we can do better than that. So as I listened to Dimitri and his colleague, I heard planning, budgeting, 30, 50, 20, discretionary spending, savings, contentment, and to me the most important one, discipline. All right? Put your hands together for them, man. And now we invite Miss Felicia Thomas, our Year 4 student from the Behavioral Sciences Department, to come and give vote of thanks to the team from JN.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're hearing me. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir. Could you stand with me? And you as well. Okay. Good afternoon. On behalf of myself, Dr. McLarty, and the Michael University, on behalf of the Again, On behalf of the Micah University and the Guidance Unit, I want to extend gratitude and appreciation to you for coming in today and sharing with us, for taking time out of your busy schedule, I presume, for sharing with us and embarking on us the importance of budgeting. It was a very interesting speech that you gave, and I know that everyone sitting here benefited from what he said, right? Most definitely. Thank you very much. Very beautiful. Again, on behalf of the Micah University and the Guidance and Counseling Unit, I want to extend to you gratitude and appreciation for showing up today and sharing all of those stuff that you did with us today. I know that someone will be stepping into your booth before they leave today to make use of everything that you have explained to us. And as a member of JN, it is wonderful to see you here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. I have to pick up Jane, because I can tell you, I don't know if you still have the mobile officer, but when I was looking about a house many years ago, they did the interview right in my classroom. And right there I was approved. So I can tell you, yes. Big up Jane. You still do big up Jane. No, Mr. Dimitri was, yes, right man. We can clap for them. No, Mr. Dimitri was giving away things, and I said, but Dimitri think him alone have things to give away? No, we have things too from the Guidance and Counseling Department. And so, we have a little giveaway, and the first person to just raise their hand and remind us the theme, the international theme for mental health. Yes, sir, go ahead. Is he correct? Reasonable. That's a reasonable. All right, you will get the prize. You come here after at the end of the function, right? And so we continue, and I want to. The breeze is giving me a challenge, and so to share another quote. This one is coming from the popular Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I have found that with depression, one of the most important things you can realize is that you're not alone. I hear that, the repetition of us not being alone. You're not the first to go through it, and you're not going to be the last to go through it. So we are not alone. We are in a, sometime with, as I heard somebody said, with social media, and we have so many friends and Facebook, we feel alone. But we are not alone. And so we're moving on very quickly, and I invite Mr. David Butler to introduce our guest. Oh, sorry, Mr. Scott. We are going to be entertained. We're going to be entertained. And you see how I'm jumping over Mr. Scott, and he just gave us the correct answer. Please forgive me, Sir Scott. Let's put our hands together for Sir Scott. Looking very sharp, eh?
Good afternoon, everyone. When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when the troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. stand on mountain. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. There's no life without its hunger. Each restless heart beats so imperfectly. But when you come and fill my life with wonders, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity. You raise me up so I can stand on mountain. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountain. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Excellent. Come on, put your hands together again for Scott Edwards. That level of singing, I know he's a Myconian. Yes, I'm just going to broadcast it. We're live, and so you're seeing it. Yes, he's a Myconian. All right, we do it with our might. Put your hands together again for Scott Edwards. Life doesn't make any sense without interdependence. We need each other. And the sooner we learn that, the better for all of us. And this is coming from Eric Erickson. We depend on each other, and as Mr. David Butler, the head of the Behavioral Sciences Department, make his way to introduce our guest speaker, we wanted to thank our sponsors, persons here with us today, Tip Friendly Society, COK, Jamaica National, Red Cross, and the students from the Heart Academy. Let's put our hands together for them. Without them, this event would not be possible. Again, we also want to thank the Guidance and Counseling Department for the support they're giving us. Mental health is real, and we need each other. The interdependence is needed. Mr. Butler.
Thank you, Mrs. Maureen Mullings Nelson. Thank you, Dr. McLarty. Greetings, Reverend Mullings Nelson. Buzzworth, thank you. So, yes. So I was asked by Dr. McLarty to make a presentation for one of our guest speakers, that is Dr. Carol Blanchard. I was told that this is an understatement for her level of achievement and accolades. So bear with me. What I am telling you is merely the tip of the iceberg, right? So Dr. Blanchard is a passionate educator who is a visionary, innovator, ardent researcher, and creative thinker with a high level of integrity and a wide range of educational experiences. These include Bachelor of Sciences of degree from the University of the West Indies, Masters of Science degree from Nova Southeastern University, Master of Science degree from Florida International University, a Doctorate of Educational Administration from the University of the West Indies. Dr. Blanchard's professional skills also include project manager, grant and proposal writing, training and curriculum development, policy development, and analysis. Please welcome Dr. Carol Blanchard.
I invite you all to stand. Where are my Jamaicans? Well, we should have something in our bones. You may be seated. Well, I'm home at the Michael, and I remember while I was here, dancing was a part of the thing. I used to dance with my principal, the late Renford Shirley. From the 157th batch at Lushington Heights. Those who are here as Lushington persons, raise your hands. The best house, the others are huts. Well, thank you so much. I had to use that song this afternoon for my entrance because everybody, when you enter this earth, you are a record-breaking person. Do you believe that? I see that you're on about the third or fourth slide. I need the first slide. So you can follow my presentation. Those of us who are online. And I really want to say, Mrs. Nelson, our Master of Ceremonies, I'm happy to be here. Reverend Mullings, good to see you. Dr. McLarty and those persons who are specially invited. The partners of MICO today, as we acknowledge and do all that is necessary to talk about wellness. It was indeed placed under the carpet for a very long time, but we understand that as individuals, we have to look at the mind, body, and spirit. All three areas are significantly important. None is more important than the other. And I'd like to tell you the story of the sperm. We know that there are several thousands that decided to run that race when you were born. But guess what? Only one was the winner. And you are as a result of that sperm today. And so consider yourselves
all record-breaking people. You are a winner. You are a record breaker. And in this world, as we talk about record breaking, it's important that you stop running on E. Many of us in this dispensation have been running heavily on E. And if we know anything about motor cars, we'll recognize that when you go on E for a while, the parts of the motor car or any vehicle will go bad after a while. And so my presentation is indeed titled, Making Me the Priority, but just to remind you that you need to stop running on E. And I told you about the story that caused you to be a part of this world as a winner. Important for you to know and to hold fast to that you are indeed winners. And the affirmation must be done every morning. When you get up out of the bed, you must remind the devil that here comes a winner. I wake up this morning because I am indeed a winner, and purpose is on me. And you alone can make that affirmation. You can't do it to allow social media to do it for you. I recognize the speaker from JN said earlier about future faking and those persons who have opportunities to go social media and do all sorts of things that are not true. And of course, I learned about a story where this motivational speaker was holding a conference, and she decided to go on social media and to find one of her speakers. Now, this is a woman she has been tracking for many years. When she called the lady said to her, I've been sleeping out of my car for years. This is a person that was very well dressed, always in the designer clothing, etc. And so we have to understand, as we make ourselves the priority, one of the things that we have to do is to know who you are. You have to know who you are, because very often when it is that you don't know who you are, then the world will set standards for you. You owe it to yourselves to set your own standards. And as we look at setting standards in this world, we have to go back to our parents. I can tell you the Clarence and Myrtle Blanchard story that has allowed for me to be on this trajectory, because we weren't allowed to escape the strong values of my parents. And today it has served us well in very, very important ways, if you may. And we rely on those stories at our breaking points, our tipping points, our points when it is that we are at ground zero and expect to become resilient and get up. And so today, I remind you that you are record-breaking persons. The best you is waiting on what you will do next. Not in the world alone, but in your small corner, in your mind. Because of course, you have to start with the mind. It's important that you make that transition or shift to understand that it's the mind that is going to be important in everything that you do. I don't know how many of us here watch the sitcom Cheers, where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Na da 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 da. I'm not the singer, Mr. Scott, you know, but Cheers was something that I grew up on. Who remembers Seventh Heaven? Wow. Those theme songs were very important for me as a child. And before I forget it, I am so happy for a male teacher coming up It made me feel good. And so one of the things, the prescriptions I'd like to give to the Minister of Education today is to seek out our male teachers and find them in a place where they can help our boys. When I look at you so nicely clad and your pants is not beyond your bottom, I said there is hope. When I understand that even though it's hot, you can wear a tie and put yourself together, I know there is hope. And so, principal in the making, I say to you, when you end at Michael, I want to see you do well as a principal. I'm not putting you at a classroom teacher because you can't climb. You have it in you to climb. I can see you as a singing principal. And I'm sure those musical notes will help to change some of our boys in the school community. Please make it a reality and don't shift the dream at all. Don't allow it to be deferred. So I'm speaking into you, and if I came here only for one person today, I have to make sure it is done. All of us here has a purpose. And until that purpose ends, we need to still breathe upon people and speak into the lives of people. And so, as you understand it, I can't separate myself from my calling. I'm the guest speaker, but I'm a teacher. And that is what you're going to get today. And if I see a teachable moment, I am going to use it. So, sir, remember what I said on the 13th day of October, 2022. You are a principal in the making. And you need to go out there and do well. I was one of the first students here to be a part of the guidance counseling unit. And you know how that happened? I came here for English and geography. And Mr. Shirley said, you, guidance and counseling. And so as we prepare to make ourselves priority, we have to know our purpose. Because you cannot be priority if you don't know purpose. And so we need to spend time dating ourselves. Ask yourself when last you went on a date with yourself. When last you spent some money on you to do something by yourself. You don't always have to have company to start learning about you. Because when we are in a community and we don't even know ourselves, we cannot give to the community. And by the way, making yourself the priority doesn't mean that you are going to be selfish. Did you hear that? Making yourself the priority doesn't mean that you are going to become selfish beings. It simply means you're going to tidy up your backyard. You're going to take care of the litter. You're going to take care of the wellness. You're going to take care of the learning, the opportunity that you have. When last you've read a book to ensure that the dementia is not a part of your portion. So it is the best you that will evolve, that will cause you to make yourself a priority and your community a priority. Rev would say at this time, if I can help somebody as I travel along, then my living will not be in vain. But let us look at the productivity index. Do you believe that the average person only works for 2 hours, 53 minutes per day? Yes. Go and look at the productivity index. Do you believe that 53% of persons on the job are unhappy? Do you believe that 14% of your average worker is actually fully engaged? And 21% of the workforce is that percentage that basically allow for increase in productivity. That is saying a lot. It speaks volumes. And so what are we going to do? I'm hearing probably people in the audience saying, without even speaking, "Me not in a that." And if you are not in that, it's a good thing. But do you have a work-life balance? Are you one of those persons who shut the gate even after the security gone? Are you one of those persons when you're on the job for 10 hours, more than your colleagues, you are not even productive? A step on a con. And so it doesn't mean that you are present and productive. Very often there are some persons who are present and not productive. And you know, some persons, I want to coin the term, are overproductive. Because guess what? Our supervisors and our managers know that we can do a lot, and they take us for a dump. So they don't delegate, they dump. And so this wellness thing has everybody affected. Because some of us go into burnout. Some of us go into a lot of things, including leaving the job or leaving the profession. And so we have to understand what we are here for, and not just budget with money, but budget yourself. Self-budgeting, self-discipline, self-accountability. Yes, you need to budget yourself. How much time am I spending on me? How much time am I spending at work just fooling around and fasting in everybody's business? Gossiping. Just not talking about the ideas, but events and persons. And so we have to understand that in making us the priority, every time we get up out of our beds, we need to be intentional about what it is that we are trying to achieve. You need to have your productivity planner, no matter how old you are, because guess what? Once you are living and breathing, you need to be productive. Because you're not in this world because of you alone. When you get the oxygen in, you've got to share it. Alvin Day tells us in his book about that butterfly, that you have to take in the oxygen first. But it's not selfishly. You take it in first because you have to be well enough to be able to help others. You know, during COVID, we learned a lot. We learned a lot because we recognize that sometimes as individuals, we can't become the priority because we are compromised. We are compromised. And so quite a lot of persons who died during COVID, doctors will tell you that they were already compromised. Now, when you do your reality check, when you do your budget, checking yourself, what areas are compromised? Where is your 50, 30, 20? By the way, I need to get my gift JN. Where is your 50, 30, 20 going? And so you need to do some reflection in making yourself a priority so that your community can benefit. And so there needs to be that personal best mission statement. Everybody should have a mission statement, a motto and a vision statement, because in life, you operate two businesses. The one now, which is Carol Blanchard right here now for me, and the one to come. When I retire, which business are you working on to make yourself the priority? You can't stick in the now, the existential, the guidance department would say. You have to also make sure that you are looking at the forward planning. What is going to happen? So that when you now have nothing, people won't be around you because you don't have nothing. You can't pour out. So you have to make sure that even when you retire, you're aging, you're mellowing, you're still able to pour out. When my father died February 1, a day after his birthday, at 101 years old, he was trying to get who she think is she? No. There's a higher power who decide how things are going on. Because some of us, in making us the priority, we are going to face some storms. We're going to go down in the valley sometimes. But guess what? We can be broken or bent but not broken. And this would be the time to say amen. And I can do the altar call later. But we need to make sure that we are making ourselves the priority while we are looking at our community. Very, very important. We are here for a purpose. We are impacting our sphere for a purpose. It's not something that was random. So should be first-class thinkers. What are we doing about the passive income? If you have one income stream, you're not saying nothing, Making you the priority, you have to market what you do best. Market what you do best. Who are you in the picture? It's not only selfie we must take, Because when you take selfie, it's only you alone you see. You have to make sure in this modern age that you are not the only one in the frame. Because when you are in the frame by yourself, you know only your experience. You have to make sure others are in the frame. And it doesn't mean you're going to be doing the comparison to say, she better than me and him lucky and so on. You're going to make sure that your best self shows up. You never know when the picture will be taken. I got my first job as a principal because my picture was taken in a regular school community. And so I bypassed interview because someone was watching me. The same way I watch it, sir. If I were still in my school, you come with me. Because I'm not going to miss an opportunity to not employ my weakness. I am female, and I know that males are critical in the classroom. And so I'm not one of those persons who is afraid to hire my weakness. You see, all you millennials, I own me love hire. Because at the end of the day, you must recognize that in the workplace today is about 5 different generations. And we have to interrelate and intermingle, and we must, like the Incas, it's a group that we need to study. We need to study that group in our culture. Where are the history students? Go look at the Incas. They talk about harmony. Living in your community in harmony. And so if we're not living in harmony, something wrong, and they're very intentional about it. So they are persons who are willing to say, Lady Nelson, I'm sorry. Making yourself the priority is also securing your future. I spend time on the road to talk to the boys who I say I rub the weed. And I spend time to say to them, look how handsome. Because guess what? I don't want to use my pension today to buy padlocks and pay for security tomorrow. So you have to make sure when you're making yourself the priority, you have to do something. Just do it. Like Nike says. And which DJ said it? Do something. Do something. And so we have to make sure that we are intentional about our activities. And you see the Bible, Jesus, good, bad. The Bible gives us prescriptions that we are not even taking, but we run to the doctors and we buy those prescriptions. Take the prescriptions that you get from the Bible. The story of the Samaritan. In this culture, in this today Jamaica, in making ourselves the priority, we have to be in the center of making this place a different place, a better place to live, to raise families, and to work. You have to be in the frame. You have to be in the frame. It's not Dr. Horace Chang by himself. It's not the Jamaica Labour Party alone. It's not the PNP alone. We all live in the same yard. The whole of we live in the yard called Jamaica, which is a tenement yard. And a lot of us believe that because we have the cherry garden addresses, that we are not in this tenement yard. We all live in Jamaica. And it is all our responsibility as we make priority, ourselves a priority. We are looking at after the needs of others. Very, very important. And until we get that message, we are not making ourselves a priority. As I said before, we need to train the brain. We need to get rid of toxins out of our bodies, such as I said before, complaining, criticizing, gossiping, and making excuses. You know, this is a very important time in our history. We are in a time where we're talking about war. We're in a time where we're talking about a lot of diseases, communicable and otherwise, lifestyle diseases. And we're talking about COVID-19. What an interesting time to live while we are making ourselves a priority. You can imagine God making us still there? You are here for a purpose. And please don't hurry to go to the cemetery, because it is the richest place on earth and we can't use the wealth that is there. Make sure that the riches and the wealth that you have to give, you give it away before you leave. You notice the average rich person, them give away a lot, you know. They give away a lot. And don't even talk about a particular age for retiring and closing down, because guess what? Warren Buffett is what, 92? The Queen was working still at 96? So guess what? Maybe Michael in the next 10 years will be asking for lecturers who are 80 years old, once they can manage the task. And so that is why I'm saying to you, you operate two brands. The brand now and the brand that is to come. And you have to prepare for that. What are you doing to make sure that your brand is ready no matter what? And the consistency like grace continues. The grace catch up I buy when I was about 10 and my mother sent me go a shop. It's similar now after enough years, right? For the most part, it has maintained. Yes. And so I'm saying to you, one of the things I want to say to Doc today is that we need to start a program, Micro Moves. Micro Moves, quite similar to what Dr. Tufton is doing in Jamaica, where he is looking at just the health aspect of it. But Michael can indeed look at the mind, body, and spirit, and trying to make sure that Jamaica is a more healthy place to recruit more male teachers. That is my charge to this institution today. We need more male teachers. And yes, our females are very effective. But in making you a priority, Michael, we need the men. Mr. Shirley would say, where are the men? Where are the men? And men in the classroom, find your friends. Find your friends and tell them this is a worthwhile. My men on a mission on the street, go up on the street and talk to them. Talk to them, clean them off, just like Jesus did. We can't do the same thing every year and expect the same result. It's time to get radical in making yourselves a priority. Clean up the men off the street. Help them to be somebody, because guess what? A lot of people don't recognize how many narcissists we have that homes have created. And the average narcissist is actually created in the home because mom and dad did not allow a son or a daughter to feel worthwhile. And so when they come out and are unleashed on the environment or the population, we have trouble. We have problem with mental illness and wellness. And so part of the curriculum here as teachers should know exactly how to deal with mental illness, no matter what faculty you are. Because it's a real thing. We have to start getting radical. And it doesn't take joint board to do that. Micah need to lead the charge. We are the oldest teacher training college in this hemisphere. And so we have to start doing some radical things. And so I could not come up here with a regular performance and speech. Although John Maxwell, my mentor, reminded me that only 20% of your audience will walk away and be impactful with what you have said. And 80% will be like water on a duck's back. And so I'm cognizant of that. But I know that when I have 20%, something will happen, because it takes a spark to start the fire. I'd be very happy as a member of the 157th batch to know that my college, where Mr. Shirley said C is for cow. And we understand that a part of being priority, you had to be excellent. Doing your A performance, your best effort everywhere you go. The best you have to deliver. And the best you don't come overnight. It takes work. It takes sweat. It takes being intentional. And so I want to say to you that human behavior is important to make that shift. And we need to make sure that we're not just keeping friends. My father, 101, born 1919 like Miss Lowe. When Daddy was alive, he had friends of different age groups. And I would say, Daddy, but why? And he said, sometimes you can't depend on older persons or persons of your age. And himself and the young people in the area were very good friends. That was a tip that was very important. And Daddy made sure his family was a security net. Having all the social gatherings, if a party in my yard, if a church will start with a little thing at yard, so that when we learn it, we can go abroad and display similar behaviors. And he made sure, myself, my father, and my mother, that strong principles, strong values were inculcated, because as an adult, you cannot afford to depart from what it is that made you that person when you were growing up. And also, you don't have to feed your bodies with things that are very expensive. Remember that. The good old cornmeal is still relevant. Good complexion come out of it. The good old water is important. If you want to flush the kidneys, the water, the cranberry, the garlic, and you don't have to drink Milo every day. Is Milo a sponsor? You can drink the lime leaf. And not because your neighbor is using chicken every day, you can't use some callaloo, even on a Sunday. All right? So understand that there are some things that you can do to make sure that you are a priority, to treat the body, mind, and spirit. And so it is important for you to give some credence to our Creator, your God, because balance is important. And as I always leave my audience, I always want to say, changed people change people. If you have been changed, you can go out and ignite your world. Make yourself the priority and do something.
Come on, let's put our hands together. Let's put our hands together. I wish we could get that song as Doc leave. Winning right now. We know we are far spent, but just give me that song a little bit now, please. And while we're waiting on the song, I'm going to get myself in trouble because, I know Doc is a Myconian. Just as when Mr. Scott came here, and we do it with our might. We don't want to get the others jealous, but we do it with our might. You ready for me? Go ahead. Come on. We're going to ask you to stand, and we're winning. While we get our mental health, our finances right, we're winning, right? Come on, we're winning right now. And we are giving thanks while we are winning. Yes? Are we gonna? We're winning right now. So we're winning right now. We're winning right now. We're chill, yes. We'll take care of our mental health. Good. Yes, come on. Put your hands together for yourself. We are winning right now. So, quickly, as we invite the Joshua Brown to give a Doc, just come, the guild president, Joshua Brown, to make a presentation. Want to invite Doc to come back?
Thank you. Dr. Carl Blanchard, when I say, I use the word a mighty woman of God a lot, and trust me, that wasn't even a speech. That was a calling unto the very souls of the Micah. That was an impactful moment that really, digged up the foundations of what it means to be a Myconian and what it means to be a human. Not only to focus on ourselves, but ensure that while we are building ourselves, we are pouring into others. There's a famous saying, to know thyself is the true meaning of wisdom. And with that wisdom, it will be useless if it's not poured into others. So on behalf of the Mike University College, Dr. McLarty, and the entire batch from your batch until my batch, 184, after our batch, I would like to say, let's take this small token of our heartfelt appreciation. So on behalf of the Mike University College, to a fellow Myconian, we thank you.
Thank you. Greatness is in this place. Greatness is in this place. Greatness is in this place, man. And so we want to continue thanking our sponsors, and we want to recognize Imperial Optical. They are also here with us, giving us support on this great day. Doc, when you were coming up and you were singing and I was here dancing, you lost me when you mentioned the hut that you belong to. Yeah, right. I thought you would have said she was a bishopite, but, I forgive her for that. I forgive her. And so while we invite Kay to come with her lovely voice, just while Kay is coming, I wanted to say, I'm a winner. Come on, say it with some vibes, the man. I'm a winner. I am not alone. I am a record-breaking person. I love that. And that's what I took away from what Doc said, and also we need to stop running on E. Yeah, and I wrote that one down and I said, no to self. Stop running on E. Thank you. The lovely Kay. Let's put our hands together for her.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. All right. I trust that you'll be inspired by this song. There's a hero. If you look inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer. If you reach into your soul, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. It's a long road when you face the world alone. No one reaches out a hand for you to hold. You can find love if you search within yourself, and that emptiness you felt will disappear. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. When you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. Dreams are hard to follow, but don't let anyone tear them away. Hold on, there will be tomorrow. It's in time, you'll find the way. That a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. When you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. That a hero lies in you. Ooh, that a hero lies in you. There's a hero in you.
Why Kate want to make me cry? Oh my goodness, may I fight back the tears. I want us to touch yourself and say, I am my own rescue. I am my own rescue. We need God Almighty, but sometimes we have to begin. And going back to what Dr. Blanchard said, that budgeting of self. It's a term I've never heard. You usually hear it about financial management. But the hero that Kate spoke about, sometimes we have to put on the cape, whether it's Superman, whether it's Wonder Woman. Which other superhero we have? Black Panther. And there's a warrior, there's a woman king. The woman king. And we have to become that hero. And it says mental health problems don't define who you are. There's something you experience. You walk in the rain. Everybody walk in the rain? Rain wet you up. You walk in the rain. And you feel the rain. But most importantly, you are not the rain. At this time, I turn over to our assistant guidance counselor, who will take us through a very important segment, and we want you to stay with us. It's making mental health a priority. And when you stay to the end, you are what? Making you the priority, as Dr. Blanchard said, and not leaving here running on E. Let's put our hands together for our counselor.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure being here, and it's my pleasure having you here with us in celebration of Mental Health Week. Under the team, what's the team? Somebody tell me the team. Whichever team you chose, Ms. Pringle. And making mental health a global priority for all. But I could not overlook the words of the song. When you feel all hope is gone, look inside you and be strong. And then you realize the truth and that the hero lies in you. There's a hero in each of us. But persons who struggled with mental health illness sometimes are impaired to identify that they have an hero within them. And so it is through getting access to help, therapeutic intervention, that they unlock those potential and unleash the hero in them. This afternoon, it's my profound privilege to introduce to you, our distinguished audience, a set of esteemed panelists where we will discuss our mental health issues one-on-one, and we'll take all your questions. Feel free, sit back, relax, and let us all enjoy. The members of our panelists are, the first, Dr. Sonia Marsh. She's a clinical psychologist, having over 20 years experience working with children who have special needs and adolescents. She has worked extensively and have a track record of success in the United Kingdom and the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, let us please make her welcome. Our second presenter is Dr. Faye Williams. Dr. Faye Williams has many accolades, but to summarize, she's a certified health educator and a professor at the Lakehead University in Orillia, Canada. Make her welcome, please. Our third panelist is no stranger to us. Dr. Carol Blanchard. She's a passionate educator, a former principal, an author, public speaker, visionary, innovator, an ardent researcher, and a creative thinker. Please make her welcome. Did I save the best for last? I'm sure I did. He's the only male in our panelists. He has years of experience in working with children with various psychological illnesses. He has a track record of excellence, and he worked at the Micro University College Counseling Unit. He's none other than Mr. Keith Thomas. Ladies and gentlemen, please make him welcome. We're going to listen to the words of this song for a few minutes, just a part.
These chains around me, gonna learn to fly again. Maybe hard, but I'll do it. When I'm back on my feet again.
Come on, those of us struggling with mental health illnesses.
Soon these tears will all be drying. Soon these eyes will see the sun. Might take time, but I'll see it. When I'm back on my feet again. When I'm back on my feet again. I'll walk proud down the street again. And they'll all look at me again. They'll see that I'm strong. Oh, gonna hear the children laughing. Gonna hear the voices sing.
Might take time, come on.
Till I hear them.
When you're back.
When I'm back on my feet again.
You will get through it. You can get through it. There is support.
Sweet light of heaven shining down. It's light on me. One sweet day I will feel it. When I'm back on my feet again. When I'm back on my feet again. I walk proud down the street.
And they'll all look at you again, realizing that you are strong. Believe it, claim it, and let us process it. Mental illness is real, right? Our health is a uniform system, right? And most of us, especially in the Jamaican context, we tend to see health as physical and mental health as irredeemable, and we tend to scorn and label those persons, and that is so not right. According to the World Health Organization, there is simply no health without mental health. And this afternoon, we'll be discussing the power of the mind. Change your mindset, change your world. And now I'll turn to the side, leaning on the experts. Welcome. How are you feeling? Good. It's our pleasure having you here. Dr. Marsh, I was just wondering, is it truly that simple? In that, can a person just change his or her mindset and things started to be different for that individual? Yes.
Hello? Okay.
Yes.
Definitely. I'll say it quite profoundly, because we have neuroplasticity, which is a study of the brain, which shows that the brain can change once it is pushed to the limit, once we start to set different goals. I know when you're young, your parents tell you if you do the same thing over and over, you're going to get the same results. So for us to change, for that mindset to change, our behavior have to change. And our behavior has to change first by us recognizing that we need the change. When we say we need the change, we might be able to do some things, but then we also might need to get help to do some things. So for instance, if I need to change, and please don't judge me, if I need to change my weight, and I know I alone can't do it, what do? I seek help. I get a personal trainer, or I go to the gym. So the first thing is recognizing that I am in a mindset that is not taking me anywhere, and I need to change. The next thing that I need to do, once I recognize this change, is to set small goals to make this mindset change. The reason why we fail most times and go back to the same mindset is because we say, okay, I'm going to lose 50 pounds, and we know we can't lose 50 pounds because we took years to gain 100 pounds. So we're going to take years to lose that. And I'm using weight because, you know, everyone can relate to that. So let us say that, let us use the mind and say that I am depressed. I'm always feeling sad. We know we're feeling sad. Seek help. Seek help by saying, go to your counselor, go to your church minister, go to your parents if you have parents who are willing to listen, a good friend, a confidant. Say something is happening. You know, for the last couple of months, I just have this heavy sadness. So you recognize it. You seek help, and then you make small goals to make this change. So you say, okay, I am going to go and see a counselor. Right? And I'm going to see a counselor for 6 months. This counselor will set the time with you, depending on how far you're depressed after they have assessed you, how they think you are. They might say, no, you not only need me as a counselor. This is where the counselor is very smart when they assess you, but you probably need medication to assist you. There is nothing wrong with taking medication to help your mental health. I'm a clinician, so I need to speak about that because we have too much stigma attached. If we have high blood pressure, don't we go and take our high blood pressure medication? If we have diabetes, don't we take our insulin? Well, it's the same. It is simple. If we are clinically depressed, talk therapy alone will not do. And I say that very, very clearly. Okay? So yes, going back to your question, you can change, but you have to first recognize it. Recognize, and sometimes, even though we know, we're in denial. But our friends usually tell us. You know, I have good friends that check my mental health all the while. Like, for instance, my good friend Faye will say, you sure you're all right? And I'm thinking to myself, yes, I need to rethink that one. Or I'm worried about that, you know, Sonia. And, you think it over. So you have friends, family members, good confidence who you know will tell you as well, because you feel it inside you, but you don't want to tell yourself, oh, I'm all powerful, I'm a Myconian. Yes, you're all Myconians, I can do it. But maybe the stress of the work is a little bit too much and you need some help. Seek the help and set real goals. Nothing is wrong. That's smart goals. Set smart goals with your therapist. And if you need medication, seek your psychiatrist to give you medication.
Thank you. Well said. Myconians, we are taught that to most things in life, there's an exception. And Dr. Sonia Marsh has informed us that when we are struggling with mental illness, do it with thy might, means seek help, and not do it independently. Are we clear? Myconians? Right. So that was very insightful. That leads me to my next question, because these conversations have me going. I'll call on Mr. Keith Thomas. Mr. Thomas, is there a relationship between mindset and behavior? In other words, does our mindset influence our behavior?
Thank you. So when I think of mindset, I want to just sort of give an idea where I am so that we can probably be on the same page, or you may be thinking about something else. So
Sure.
we're talking about a set of attitudes or beliefs that we have that tend to influence what we do, partially answering your question already, how we think, and the emotions we have, and how we deal with problems, maybe, in general. So there is a relationship between mindset, which is our beliefs, really. And the truth is, sometimes we don't know what we believe. We're not aware until probably something or somebody, sort of pulls it out of us. But when you think of like cognitive behavioral therapy, which many people will know about, what we think does affect what we do, right? If I think that I'm going to fail the test tomorrow, I may not bother to go. And it's because of what I think. Probably if I had gone, I would have passed. All right? So our mindset, what we think, does affect our behavior. And there are other things that can help us to see that too. For instance, if you wake up one morning and you're just feeling out of place, you're feeling sort of down, you don't feel like even going to work or getting out of bed, are you going to be singing something like, "Oh, what a beautiful morning"? Not likely. Because you're not thinking, you're not feeling, and you're not thinking at that level. So yes.
Thank you, thank you. Now you have highlighted the importance of awareness, knowing who we are, what we are feeling, and what possibly impact how we behave. Now this leads me to another question. This time I'll call on Dr. Blanchard. Dr. Blanchard, does our socialization define us as people?
Good afternoon again, everyone. I don't know about you, but I know that as a Jamaican, there are some distinguishing behaviors that even when I go abroad, it is just there. And no matter what I do, I cannot hide. And so, if I were to say, as I was speaking with my colleagues earlier on, if I were to invite someone from Kingston College to be up here, people will actually spot who is from Kingston College or Calabar, because there are just some distinguishing features. And if we are among persons in the teachers' colleges, you can spot a Myconian, right? Because when you send off these persons from teaching practice, there are just some things about the Myconian that will stand out. And so, yes, culture is indeed evolving. And each year, we recognize that that culture is indeed dynamic. But we can say that there are some factors, there are some traits, there are some characteristics that make us who we are as a people. And one of them that I know is indeed resilience. The Jamaican power, the Jamaican person is indeed resilient for the most part. The average Jamaican is very, very resilient. We are not quashy people. We're not pure people. And so when things go bad, we find a way. Speaking with my colleagues a while ago, we spoke about the whole business of Anansiism. And very often people see that as a bad thing, a negative thing. But Anansi always seemed to find a way out. And a part of mental wellness is to find that key to open the door to what we want to unlock. And in many things that we do, we need the support, as Dr. Marsh said a while ago. We need the support. So culture sometimes can create doors for us, open doors, and sometimes it can keep us in bondage because we're going to be saying, I saw we do it all the time. And sticking to a so we do it, we don't understand that there is another way to do something without losing the essence or sticking to the goal. So yes, culture impacts our day-to-day life because there are things that we do that are Jamaican. I mean, there are some persons living in our community today believe it's because when we're sick of somebody, no be away. And some people don't understand that some people are sick. And believe it or not, there are people who end up in the cemetery untimely death because of some of the beliefs that we have. And so we have to be very careful that culture is not holding us bondage, but culture is helping us to make a path that can make us better persons as we exist in our community. So it's very good to look at some of those telltale signs that have not served us as a community and just take them for what they are worth and look at the things that can make us better people. One of the things I believe that culturally has made us better persons is to account for the village. The village nurturing the individual. It's not only the child, it's also the adult. Because a lot of us are quick to send the condolence cards, and we are not quick to celebrate people. And so we need to have a community of celebration. When the Reggae Boys won in 1995, was it? The entire country celebrated. And we were all on the bandwagon. But when they started losing, the National Stadium was not even 20%. And so we need to change some of the cultural things that we have to say that we are only supporting people when it is that they are successful. Because in life, we need support and we need to support others. Remember, we need to take this community seriously because we're not only supporting self, but others.
Thank you, thank you. Now, Dr. Blanchard have highlighted for us that our socialization, our friends, the household in which we were grown, our community, and the friends that we select as we go about our daily pursuits, they have the capacity to impact us. And so the guidance and counseling unit is encouraging each participant here today, choose your circle wisely. Now this leads into our next question, and I'll call on Dr. Williams. Dr. Williams, what is your understanding of the current drivers of the current state of crime and violence in Jamaica?
Thank you. What are the current drivers of crime and violence in Jamaica?
Yes, your understanding.
That's a very, very complex question, and maybe we need maybe all afternoon to explain it. However, crime and violence in Jamaica is being driven by a number of factors. Recently, Lisa Hanna spoke and she said it had to do with, it was in the Observer that it had to do with poverty. I don't know what your views are. However, many of us have been brought up in poverty and none of us were in crime and violence. But if I should think back on some of the theoretical explanation for the cause of crime and violence, we can look historically at the classical theory where it was believed that persons make a decision. They knowingly make a decision to be engaged in criminal activity, in violence. That was our historic background. That was how our whole criminal justice system was developed, was established. Yes, we do have many in our society who make a decision to be engaged in crime and violence, regardless whether they need to. There was an instance in Mandeville where a number of young people went and broke several houses. They had no need. They broke the houses, they took the things, and then they scattered them all over the place. They made a decision to be engaged in crime and violence. Sometimes they do that because our criminal justice system many times are not able to address the issue expeditiously. So they said, okay, it's going to take long to be caught. I might never be caught, so I'll make a decision to be engaged in it. But then another theoretical perspective has to do with having an actual underlying cause why people engage in crime and violence. So they're thinking of what physical or psychological issue could have been there. It could have been personality disorder. It could be, having problems working with people. And in Jamaica, we have a lot of interpersonal violence. People are engaged with criminal offenses against the people who they are connected with, who they are related with. So we do have that as well, and as a result, interventions were thought of that we could treat or address whatever the issue is. But then we also have the whole social-related issues. We say, well, there's social learning. Some of us in our society actually learned crime from very early, from close association, from our family, from our gang background, from the location where we were grown. And so we have many who are engaged in criminal activity because they learned it. We find that especially when the very young are exposed to crime and violence from within their homes, as they get older, sometimes they have difficulty even making a decision about right and wrong and whether or not to continue. And sometimes it's even difficult because they would have gathered all their peers, sometimes their siblings have all been involved in crime, family members, so it's also very difficult. There's also another theory where they talk about the general theory of crime, and they think people who are engaged in criminal activity is just because of self-control. It is believed that many people are engaged in crime because they lack self-control. This brings me to another point. We have increasing numbers of our population that are using a range of substances. So whether it's the taxi drivers or the bus drivers, and they have to start the morning with something in a cup, something clear in a cup, or they have to be having Red Bull all day, or they have to have the Boma and all the other drinks. A lot of people are under the influences of a number of substances. So even if they never had an underlying problem with self-control, using substances have contributed to them maybe not making the best of decisions and engage in crime and violence. Another important point I need to make, we also have the whole concept of labeling theory. And this is very important, particularly in an academic setting where many young people are being labeled as no good, dropouts, can't come to anything. Very, very negative labels are being put on our children. One, we have it from the home, from some of our parents. You look just like your daddy, you now come to nothing, right? They go to school and the teachers, many of them are putting them down, and so they continue. So when they reach teenage years, when they're trying to find themselves, they say, well, them say I'm not coming to nothing, so let me do what I can. So you find they may gravitate to the gangs, or they are within not fully established gangs, but they gravitate to peers, where they said, okay, since they say me not coming to nothing, I'm going to turn thief, I'm going to turn gangman, let me do it. Please bear in mind that the gangs provide some of the support that many of the young people don't get at home. Many don't get it in their communities. So labeling, we as young mature people, we have to think about that. As teachers, we also have to bear that in mind. All right? So the next theory I'd just like to point out, as Lisa Hannah said, it all has to do with poverty. Yes, studies have shown that sometimes people become what they're exposed to in their community. But remember, poverty doesn't kill people. Poverty doesn't hurt people. Yes, we know many communities there's poverty. We know we have high unemployment. We know in some areas our educational system not as strong as it should be. But poverty is not all. But there is an influence of the community that is low income, has low unemployment, lower levels of education, because those type of conditions will push some of the young people to be in negative, having negative connections, having the families to be engaged in some negative kinds of behaviors. But poverty itself, that's not what contributes to crime and violence.
Thank you, thank you. Very comprehensive response. This one I would call need no additives. So I'll now call on Dr. Marsh. Dr. Marsh, we are in an academic environment, but this question is not limited to this forum. In Jamaica, addiction has now become a common phenomenon, and Dr. Williams made reference to this. Persons are engaging in substance use throughout campuses. We can extend this to say globally. What do you believe are the risk factors that guides addiction?
That's a very long one. Can you hear me? Yes. There are many risk factors that drives addiction. And we'll just go back to the first question of mental health. And I will look at some substances people engage in, which they then become addicted to because they are self-medicating. So they feel sad. Someone tells them if they smoke this or they drink that, it will make them feel better. And so they start to engage in it. And then they find that they can't go out in the morning. As my colleague on my right says, that, you know, you get up in the morning and you feel, I can't go out this morning, I'm really feeling sad. And let me take a spliff or let me drink a drink. Whichever drink is yours of choice, you know. And in some cases, let me sniff something or whatever, because that will give me the motivation, give me the courage to go out, right? And this is globally. This is not just locally, because the school that I had before I came here, they were all kids who were out of the system because of their behavior or their special needs. And I would say 95% of them engage in some form of addiction. And it was primarily for the pain that they were suffering, that they were not speaking about. Again, it is essential that we look at our children and start to detect some of the signs. We have kids who have externalizing behavior, and you know, they're always engaging in risky behaviors and so on. Those kids, the research has shown that they have a higher propensity to engage in some form of addictive behavior. Again, you have internalizing kids who don't speak what is happening, and because they're so sad, and the only way they can move on, they again engage in some kind of addictive behavior. Because we're not only talking about substance abuse when we're talking about addictive behavior, but we're talking about self-harm as well. There are some young kids, I don't know if it's as prevalent in Jamaica. I know we have kids who self-harm, but I know it's something that is very, very common in the UK, that they start self-harming from about 7, 8, 9, right? And it becomes addictive, and you find young kids coming by the age of 14 with their whole arm looking as if it's been tattooed, but it's not tattooed, it's all scars from the self-harm. And this is an addictive behavior. And again, this behavior is some of the frustration, the anger, the anxiety, which is not being treated, that they then turn to these methods to relieve the pain, to feel better, to just get the to go out in the morning. So it's really a global phenomenon, and some of the risk factors that we have to look at first of all is our children. When we see children becoming withdrawn, we had a lively child, and the child reaches about 9 or 10, and all of a sudden they don't want to talk to you, they're in their rooms or whatever. We need to look for those signs. When we have kids who we know they are always engaging in risky behavior, we need to look for those signs. I remember even in raising my boys, there were some of my sons that we searched their bags to ensure when they were going to school that they didn't have substances that they shouldn't have, because we knew our children. So we have, as caregivers, I'm not just talking about parents now, because some kids are raised by grandparents, some kids are raised by aunts, some kids are raised by friends in the community who just love and take care of them. But we need to look out for the signs, because these risky behaviors start in the early adolescent years when you can actually see them trying to do, withdraw or doing things that that they shouldn't be doing. And again, talking about what Dr. Williams spoke, the community. If you're living in a community where every morning you get up, you see the male in your family drinking a beer, have a beer in their hand, or in some cases, they might have the white rum in a glass or, whatever. Then it becomes a norm. See it as an addiction. You associate, because kids have association. So they associate being an adult with drinking this white substance or having a beer bottle, and then they taste it. And if they like it, they will continue it, right? So again, children watching, they're modeling our behavior. So there are various risk factors out there. It's not any one risk factor that creates this addiction. And of course, the main one, if you have a child who is on the spectrum of an addictive personality, then whatever substance they engage in, they're not going to just try it for experiment. They're going to keep trying it and trying it and trying it. And then they might even move to harder substances, because after a while, that particular substance is no longer able to give them the get up and go. So instead of drinking one drink to get up, they drink 2 glasses. And then when they're in class, they run out and they take another. They have it probably in one of these water bottles, and they take a sip. Or in some cases, it's the weed. They smoke the weed in the morning, and while they're in class, they're telling you they need to go to the bathroom, and they're in the bathroom smoking, right? Because they just can't feel they can function without this particular substance. So it has many risk factors, but the main thing is, as caregivers and as parents, we need to open our eyes and be alert and seek help. There are many places where you can seek help for your young teenagers if you see them going in this route. Or even if it's not your child, but you live in the community and you can see some signs, speak with the parents, or, speak to someone who is responsible. Not that some people say, oh, you're talking about my son and you don't know my son or whatever. But find the right time to say, I've seen Johnny around the corner there. Something is not right. You need to check on it. Okay?
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Can I just make a comment? Yes. We're in the MICO. Teachers have an awesome responsibility. Sometimes the kids will hide everything from their parents. They leave the things at the friend's house, and they leave some of the clothes there and a number of things. But teachers will have them. For many of our schools, they have to be in class. So teachers need to be vigilant. be on the lookout and try, no matter how unlovable some of them are, you need to find a way to care for them, or if not, make them go in a different class. We need to find that place to care for them, be on the lookout for them, because let me tell you, the one that is spoiled may spoil the whole class and even the whole school.
Thank you. Well said. Addiction is a serious mental health crisis, and the studies show that it is irregularities in the brain that leads to addiction with respect to the person's reward system. So each of us, we are encouraged to look out for the signs within ourselves and others and seek help where it is necessary. Mr. Thomas, how does stress relating to academic studies can have adverse psychological impact on learners or educators?
Right. So I probably should get from our audience, what are some of the stressors that you have or had as you pursued your studies? Anybody? What are some of the stressors relating to academics? Nobody wants to take part? Yes, sir.
Financial.
Exactly. The cost of that education, all right? Because if parents don't have it, but Dr. Blanchard said that with purpose and priority and prioritizing self, so we said, all right, I'm pushing ahead still. I need an education. This is a gateway for the change in my family, but the money is not there. So that could be one of the stressors. Another thing that yes, there's a hand. The whole heap assignment them we do one time. Yes. And so sometimes you may start to panic. You feel burdened. The thoughts start to change. Some other stressors include teacher commenting on whether you will make it or not. If you're dumb or you're just warming the bench or so on, that could become a stressor, yes. Yes, you start to go in a lower mood state. And as a matter of fact, if you find that there's a time when you have been putting out work that just doesn't seem to measure up, then it could complicate that. And so you start to think, you start to wonder, is this for me? Can I do this? Am I cut out for this? And there is something that we refer to as a self-efficacy. The belief, strong belief, that I have what it takes to do something. So our self-efficacy starts to get a hit. And when that gets a hit, then we start to brood over the thing. We start to have depressive feelings. But we start to look around and everybody else seems to be doing okay. And so that further depresses our self-worth and esteem and how well we can do. Now, the question is, how do those things translate to
psychological?
Okay, so considering all of that, if it continues over time, then what we may have happening is that, one, we may start to use substance to keep up. Somebody may tell us that, in my younger days, they used to talk about fish head, because if you eat fish head, you'll get bright and wisdom and so on. You've never heard of it? You're not old enough. And so persons may start to do other things that they hope will contribute to an improvement in what they have been seeing, in the experience that they've been having. Another stressor is unsuitable environment, whether it's at home to study or at school or so on. That too may have an impact on how well you do. But notice the important thing is where the thoughts are going, because we're talking about mindset, and changing mindset, and if it's as simple as that, can we do it? A lot of things will go to the thought. There are some things we just do spontaneously, and even then some involve thoughts, automatic thoughts. We didn't even realize that we were having those thoughts, right? So the thing then is we could start to get depressed, psychological challenge, anxiety.
You. Mr. Thomas, just want to break you a moment there. I'm coming on the heels of a commercial break. And we just asked each of the panelists to give me the answers in compressed form.
Short.
So Mr. Thomas reached there. He said, over prolonged period, then it leads to psychological symptoms manifested in anxiety, depression, and we know the rest of it. Dr. Williams, how do early lived experience coupled with irregularity throughout our stages of development impact us psychologically? Give us that in 2 sentences, please.
Experiences in early development can be bad, can affect our development, the development of the young child, and sometimes you can have serious health complications as a result. Remember, you can have physical abuse, you can have sexual abuse, you can have neglect, there can be abandonment. So whatever experiences that you have as a young child can definitely impact on later in life. Dr. Marsh mentioned about neuroplasticity. I mean, this is part of why we have early childhood education. We want to have early stimulation for the young child, early positive stimulation for the young child. And just as how that will help in a positive way towards development, that's the same way if you have negative experiences, abuse, neglect, abandonment, yes, it can definitely affect the development. And it can, even as you go into adulthood, there can still be negative effects that you experience.
Thank you, thank you. Dr. Blanchard, can we learn new ways? No. I'll change this question since someone alluded to it before. Thank you. In Western society, we make a distinction between mental illnesses and physical illnesses. In your opinion, is there a relationship between the two?
Yes, there is indeed a relationship, because very often some of our mental activities can cause us to have physical ailments. And I just want to say that one of the things that we need to change in Jamaica is the idea that counseling is a good thing. Everybody in the US talks about going to counseling like they're going to church or they're going to the supermarket. Everybody has a counselor. And I think we need to get to that place, because it is 1 in every 6 individuals in Jamaica has a mental health problem. It is 40% of our children in early childhood centers are actually committing violent acts. 40%. The minister just said that the other day. And so we need to get ourselves to the place where we are understanding the relationship with what is happening in the health sector and our behavior, our human behavior. There will not be enough beds to take care of people. So when we cost the Minister of Health and say that they need hospital beds, we need to cost ourselves. Put the man in the mirror in understanding that there is a relationship with our personal behavior and what it does to our bodies. Cancer, for example, is indeed something that comes as a consequence of stress. Colon cancer is one of those things. It is indeed a high-stress person is exposed to colon cancer. A high-stress person can be exposed to breast cancer. A high-stress person can be exposed to other forms of cancers. And so we have to understand that we owe it to ourselves to balance the equation. There's something that I'd like to leave in your minds as we talk about the mind. We are here talking about the mind. It's recognition, repetition, and results. When you recognize what is happening and you make the shift, you need to repeat with discipline in order for you to get a certain result. Remember, recognition, repetition, and results.
Thank you. Thank you so much. With this discussion, we could take it in the middle of Afro 3 and we could go on and on and on and on and on, and time would have eluded us. However, we have come to the end of this session. It was indeed informative. Let us thank our guests for coming here. And if you are here and you are struggling with mental illness, or if you know any member of the MICO community that is struggling, or that may need to talk to someone, the Guidance Counseling Department is headed by Dr. Ruthlyn McLarty, and she supervises my work. That's no problem. It's a mentor relationship there and a professional relationship as well. And she stands ready to serve, humanistic at heart. Please reach out to us. Feel free. Gonna break these chains around you. We're gonna learn to rise again. Come on, give it to him.
We'll all be dry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Soon these eyes will see the sun. Might take time, but I'll see it.
When we're back.
Back on my feet again.
Thank you, thank you. Let us put our hands together. Such an excellent presentation, quite a very distinguished panel. And I was sharing with that we could have this being aired on national TV because it is at that level. In fact, I heard the presenters speaking in a room and I said it to them, because we need to keep the conversation going about mental health. I worked as a VP for a number of years in an institution that when we recognize that something was off, we're not clinicians, but you can recognize when something is off, and we'll call the parents in to just share with them our concerns. And thus the parent would say, so Missy, I said, my pitney mad? And the shame would be there, and they'd have those students there for years without getting help for them. Even when we brought the MICO in to give us support, and the clinicians came in, and they did the psychometric assessment, and just in our novice way, the students who we recognized were off, the clinicians' report supported what we said. And then I remember parents said, so Miss, you say my pitney mad? Because there's a shame attached to mental health. But today, we are saying no more shame. You are not alone. And at this time, let's put our hands together again for the Guidance and Counseling Department and our excellent panel. And just for yourselves for being here, we want to give thanks again to our sponsors. We have Imperial Optical, the Red Cross, students from the Heart Institute. We have COK, TIP, Jane, and I said Red Cross earlier. Let's put our hands together for them, because indeed, without them, this afternoon would not have been possible. And so we have Mrs. Amelia Alexis coming. No, sorry, Mrs. Samuel Springer Robinson. And she's wearing two hats, because she's giving the vote of thanks to our panelists and the overall vote of thanks. Let's put our hands together and welcome her.
Thank you, Lady Nelson. I'm going to call Dr. March to come. Dr. Marsh, you have blessed us, you have graced us with your presence and your knowledge, and we want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to bless us so very much. Here is a token of our appreciation, and we do believe that you will continue to do great things on this earth. Blessings. And Miss Dr. Williams, please join us. Dr. Williams, the same is true. You have blessed us. You have given us so much thought, so much insight, so much things to think about. And so we're thankful to you on behalf of Michael, Guidance and Counseling Unit. We want to share this token with you of our appreciation. Many blessings and thank you. Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas, oftentimes we would say, if it was a single lady among the gentlemen, we would say the rose among the thorn. But today, I mean, it is well, so I'm going to say you were a rose among the roses. Thank you so much. Very insightful, very informative. We were engaged and we were blessed by your presentation this evening. Thank you so much for serving the Michael and the community at large. And we ask that you'll take this token and may it be of good use to you. Thanks again. And then we will now invite Dr. Blanchard to come. Dr. Blanchard, your presentation today, wow. There was a recent ad on television where they had water with wow. I would say this is Dr. Blanchard with wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much. Your presentation was just so impactful. And we are going to leave here today doing something, all right? As a community, we just want to thank you so much. And may this small token be of great use to you. Continue being a blessing to everyone. Yes, you're welcome. Have you ever heard the saying, your brain is your engine? Indeed, your brain is your powerhouse. So whatever you entertain, whatever, sometimes, we're prone to entertain gossip. So we pray in all the goodness of wanting to listen to a friend that you will listen to substance instead of gossip. Your mental health is everything. Prioritize it, make the time for it, as if your life depends on it, because it really does. Mel Robbins. Today, as we engaged ourselves in the activities of the day, we can all attest with a round of applause that it was fruitful and it was full of substance. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Michael's Guidance and Counseling Unit, I am privileged to deliver the vote of thanks overall. We want to thank the Lord for this initiative that He has used to encourage us to work smarter and live healthier. To the Board of Governors, the President, Vice President, the organizers, the masterminds, the stalwarts who work behind the scenes, thank you for heeding the call and serving us so graciously and efficiently. Thank you to Jamaica National Bank encouraging us to be financially disciplined. Thank you to our sponsors, Tip Friendly, COK, Jamaica Red Cross, and everyone who would have sponsored this initiative. To everyone who participated today, thank you. To the engaging audience, thank you. I want to thank everyone who would have also paid attention to Miss Nelson. And I bring attention to her because earlier she mentioned, she made a quote that says, "You are seen. I am with you. You are not alone." And with that, I will say, let's continue to work as a community. From my favorite anime, Shrek, there was an interaction between Shrek and the donkey. And Shrek was not feeling himself. He was quite weak. And he says to Donkey, "Please, I don't want to go back there. You don't know what it feels like to be considered unwell, crazy. And the donkey replied humorously saying, well, maybe you are, but that's why we have got to stick together. You got to let me stay. And with this, I will close saying, change begins here. So let us continue to go out there, being empowered, being engaged, being assured, and being encouraged to do something. Do something with our lives while we make the change in this yard, our tenement yard, and the world at large. Blessings.
Bless you. Come on, put your hands together for her. As we close the day's event, we still have some giveaways, and so we spoke about the theme, the global theme. And very quickly, if someone can tell me what's the MICOS theme for today, for the mental health awareness. MICOS theme. Yes, go ahead. All right, you come here as soon as we finish for your prize. The next one, an easy one. What's the name of the Michael University College Guidance Council? I don't want it from you. Yes, I see a hand there. Yes, you can come and collect your prize. And then from our guest speaker, what was the guest speaker's theme? Yes, I see a hand, yes? Making yourself yes, both of you, yes, come, that's this side. Very good. I think we would have given away. Let me see anything else. Or one more. Can someone name our sponsors, 4 of our sponsors? Look here. So you're a guidance student, you're supposed to get it. Well, guess what? My grandmother said first come, first serve. So you meet us here at the end of the function. Wow. We have come to the end of an awesome day. And we thank God Almighty for having kept us. Good weather, no rain this afternoon, and that's excellent. I saw the clouds gathering a while, and I said, but it went, and we thank God. We thank the Guidance and Counseling Department. It has been an excellent. And as we close, we'll be closing with the national anthem. And this quote coming from Demi Lovato. The advice I'd give to someone that's silently struggling is, you don't have to live that way. You don't have to struggle in silence. You can be unsilent. You can live well with a mental health condition as long as you open up to somebody about it. Because it's really important you share your experience with people so that you can get the help that you need. And I love this part, you can be unsilent. God bless you as we stand for the playing of the national anthem. Where is I see my musician, photographer. Let's put our hands together for him. Yes, man, and the team doing the live stream, yes. And all persons here, right? So let's wait on him to God bless. Walk good.